Hey there guys, Travis Cook here of Learning How to Think, and it's the 25th of September 2020, and you know what that means? That means tomorrow is the 26th and it's the big old protest happening in Trafalgar Square in London at 12 noon. Now, there's been a lot of build up, a lot of hype for this one, especially after the first one was very successful, and there was one as well last week that seemed to go quite well. There was police presence, but the men managed to hold the line, and it looked like a lot of fun, looked pretty intense. I mean, a few people got arrested, and I can kind of understand that. I was pumping myself just from watching the video. I could feel the adrenaline kicking in, and because I'm so passionate about the cause and so assuring my knowledge that we're being fucked with, and the globalists are really pushing their luck with this one. And to see the police complying with this and actually trying to stop this movement, I just sort of I was making my blood boil just there. But keep a cool head tomorrow, guys, and don't get arrested. But don't let the police in any way interfere with this protest. As Piers Corbyn was saying, if you are, the police try and stop you from entering, and you voluntarily leave, then you have voluntarily left. But you are totally within your rights as a human being of the United Kingdom, living in the United Kingdom, being a part of this, to protest. It's totally legal. Boris is totally up for it. The mayor was trying to get more lockdown happening in London, but it didn't happen, so that's great. And I'm really excited to see how it all goes down tomorrow. But yeah, so if you can be there, be there. It's gonna be a big one. I've done everything I can in the online world over these weeks since I knew it was happening. As much promotion as I can, even managing to get a few sneaky 4chan threads going in the politically incorrect section. And anyone who spends any time on there knows it can be a bit of a not such a challenge, but to actually get a board that gets 300 posts on it, not all boards get there. So I managed to sneak a couple in there to get the promo out, and every single platform I have been mentioning it, and everyone that I know in person who I think would be interested, I've spoken to them about it and made sure they're aware about it, and I'm absolutely fascinated to see how it all goes down. I think it'll be a real good time for anybody who's had who's fucking had enough of all this shit, and really just wants to be around people who are on the same page, on the same brainwave, people who are, because there are more and more people are like waking up to this and realizing that we're being conned. I mean, I just saw this beautiful meme, and it puts it in perspective, because there's a lot of things you could look at to realize why this is such bullshit. But this meme did it very nicely, and it just simply shows how many people have died of other causes in the UK just compared to COVID, right? And it said, I'm not sure exactly what date this is for. Maybe if they put the date on it, would have been a bit more helpful. But I would say in the past couple of weeks, maybe this meme was referencing this particular date, and it just says, in England yesterday, 18 people died from COVID-19. 1,295 died from a stroke. 1,852 died from a heart attack. And 13 were murdered. And it says, you do the maths. And remind me again, what are you afraid of? Why has so much attention been focused on this COVID-19, huh? What is it? What is the agenda? And then you have good old Valliance, who just so happens to have £600,000 of shares in the company developing a vaccine for COVID-19. Now, what the fuck? Like, oh my god! If that doesn't just wake people, like people who had trust in these people, if that doesn't sum it up, that is just the most blatant conflict of interest you've ever seen. No wonder that he's sitting there with graphs like, oh, if we're going to have this many, and it's going to double every day and every week, and then eventually it's going to be 200 people dying a day by, mid-October, mid-November? I can't remember exactly the prediction, but there was someone in the UK column who was saying, yeah, so if that carries on by Christmas, life as we know it, there'll be nobody left in the UK. Everyone will be dead. So yeah, you can see the absolute absurdity of all of this. And the Test and Trace app has now been rolled out. I, for one, for sure, will not fucking download that shit. No fucking way. You can get fucked. Why would I want to get that and then be told, oh, now you have to self-isolate? Great, because somebody had a cold and they got the PCR test that gave them a false positive, say they have COVID. Now you have to self-isolate. Great. Why would anybody do that? And supposedly now it's becoming mandatory for gyms to do this. But I can almost bet that it's not a law, it's just regulations. But there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, folks. Like the rule of 6 is not a law, it's a fucking rule. That's why it's called the rule of 6. But this is it. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like with smoke and mirrors, but we're being tested. It's like, how do you believe the government? Do you trust the government? Do you think for yourself? Do you do what you are told? I remember actually, just on a bit of a tangent, but when I was experimenting with the Amanita muscaria, a big thing that come up in one of my trips was how important it is to not do what you are told, to think for yourself. And in a very sad kind of perspective, in a way, but maybe it's necessary, the people who are believing in this agenda, the people who don't think for themselves, are in a way being cold. People who are going to be living in fear and believing all this stuff and will take the fucking DNA manipulating vaccine because they believe in the government because they're not thinking for themselves. Well, that's just a form of, unfortunately, weakening those in the population who do that. And given enough time, these people will fade from society, right? It's just evolution, I suppose. It's in the future. Maybe you're gonna have to be awake. You're gonna have to think for yourself. Maybe that's what humanity needs. It needs people who think for themselves so we don't get caught in this ridiculous situation we find ourselves in at the moment. And it's kind of a gloomy outlook, but maybe it's necessary. I don't know. I'd like to think not. I'd like to think we can just transition smoothly into a beautiful golden age, but fuck knows if that's even possible. But yeah, so I'm hyped for this protest tomorrow. It's going to be a big one. But before I continue ranting too long, I'll just keep it at that. And yeah, will you be there tomorrow?